Hello there, I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, we sure are an active city. We hike, we run, and we dance. This is our Vancouver. Coming up, the battle for city parks between humans and geese. And angels of the race meet a pacer for the BMO Marathon. But first, old traditions taken to new heights in Canada's Ballroom Extravaganza. CBC Gem has a new series that's about to launch, and it features the stars of Canada's ballroom culture. So this is a new kind of contest where 10 of the country's stars were paired with queer and trans filmmakers, and you can see posing and dancing and art in a new CBC Gem series starting next week. Well, Ivy is a competitor and part of Vancouver's burgeoning ballroom scene. They're part of Team Bog Beast in Canada's Ballroom Extravaganza. Ivy, I'm so happy to meet you.
Thanks for having me, Gloria.
Let's talk Team Bog Beast. What's the whole concept here with
Absolutely.
this team name?
Yeah, so Dizzy and I, the filmmaker that I'm working with, we met up and we kind of talked about what makes us unique. We're the only team over here on the West Coast, and so we tried to use that to our advantage. We've got like so much nature around here that you can't really get in Montreal or Toronto. Mountains, ocean, forests. We tried our best to capture everything. And we also wanted to speak to how that's being affected recently. And we've had forest fires, in the last several years. I think we're starting to just see pretty massive shifts in weather and flooding. And in a place where you do get to see so much nature, I think you get to see the effects of what we're doing to it on a larger scale as well.
So Team Bog Beast also comes with costumes. Can you just take, what was the concept with the costume? And I know this is headgear, but maybe we'll leave that for a little bit. Do you want me to hold the headgear while you're describing here what you're going for?
So a big part of it is the mask, but with this outfit, I guess I'm going for a bit of a look where it's a pile of garbage come to life, trying to fit into human society.
That's Bog Beast.
That's Bog Beast, yeah.
That's Bog
and
Beast.
Kind of an embodiment of the apocalypse that we're seeing around us. And also just here to have a good time.
Okay, well that's what I wanted to get at, because with this ballroom extravaganza, this is not your tango and your cha-cha and that. Okay, so how would you describe it?
Well, it started back in the 1920s in Harlem. There were Black and Latinx queer and trans folks who felt that they didn't have space for themselves, and so they decided to make them space for themselves. And it's basically evolved from there over the years. It's stayed fresh and relevant. The main category, I would say, is performance, where folks are voguing. That's a specific type of dance.
Okay.
I can't really do it in this outfit, but it's lots of like spinning and floor work. It's very freeform with a couple of set elements that you have to keep to. And
well, there's rules here.
There's rules.
Okay.
But also lots of room for folks to express themselves and show their individual identity through their movements, through the categories that they're participating in. The category I participate in is Bazaar, which is all about these handmade, kind of inhuman outfits that question ideas of fashion and gender and identity and kind of what we can do with all of that.
So tell me about the community, just in coming together. You said you're there to have fun, but you're tackling some serious issues. How would you describe the community?
In Vancouver or at large?
Oh, well, both.
Both, yeah. Well, as I said, the global community is continuing to develop. Like, we're getting new cities. I think there's folks over in the Philippines who are starting their own scene. A lot of it is still centered around New York and the East Coast, but we're getting folks who are learning things from there and bringing it to other cities. So we have Ralph Escamillan, who basically brought ballroom here, I think in 2016 or 17, and has been doing free classes every week for the last 5 years. It's incredible. And because of his work, I've been able to step into this scene. We've been able to have balls, and folks are able to take these ideas and things that they see on screen and bring it to their own city and define it on their own terms. And you really do see the identity of a city come through the people who get this opportunity really to come and express themselves.
Well, what about for you? I mean, how did you get into it? What does this community mean for you?
It's really meaningful, honestly.
Yeah.
I kind of struggled to find my identity as an artist, and I was able to make things, but nothing was quite hitting the notes I needed of like performance and sculpture and fashion and queerness that I was looking for. And this just kind of clicked into place for me. It's really fun too. The people there are supportive. It's beautiful to be surrounded by like just queer people who are here for a good time and not taking it too seriously.
Well, and there you go. Can we complete the Bog Beast
Sure,
costume now? I mean, it's heavy. First of all, I don't know how you keep your head up wearing that. So this is all rubber tubing. It is really quite.
It's all rubber
weighs quite-
tubing.
I can still. Okay, come on in. A little closer here. Let's get you into the light. This is amazing. This is amazing. Okay, what I'd love for you to do, Ivy, give us a little bit of a sense of what would happen in this costume in a competition. Just, I'll give you some room.
Sure.
Have some fun.
So I'm going to back up a bit. Typically, someone would come onto a runway, which is where we have most of our competitions. And for Bazaar, you're going to want to come on and really perplex people, give them an idea of what you are, but don't show everything. Once you get your 10s, which is essentially a preliminary round, then you're going to go up against people in a battle. And that means that there's two people who are on the runway, basically showing everything that they have. And occasionally they'll pull out a little stunt or something that people don't expect. And that is basically how you win. You capture the attention of the judges who are at the front, and you are trying to curry their favor. You're trying to show that you know what you're doing in your category and that you're paying attention to the theme. So I might not wear this to, an underwater ball. I could, but I would definitely wear it to like a garbage ball or a pink ball or something where these elements really get to stick out.
I love it. I love it. Come on back over here. Come back center stage here. What do you know? I can leave it on because okay, maybe not.
Sure.
Maybe
No, I
not.
can
Maybe
leave it
not.
on.
You can hold it there. It's so impressive. What do you hope the audience gets out of an experience like that? I mean, you've already described what it's like for you. This is freeing. This is just strutting your
Yeah.
stuff literally. But what about for the audience?
Well, I kind of hope that people can see the materials that it's made of. Like, you can tell that it's bike tubes. It's not like it's a trade secret or anything. And I hope that people can, take the things that are being left behind and find the garbage around them and turn it into something more than that. I want people to feel like they can, do that with themselves as well, just pull themselves out of where they've been left and defy expectations.
I love it. Ivy, the Bog Beast, and the Ballroom Extravaganza. Have a wonderful time. Put this back on. Give us a strut. That is fun. Have a great time.
Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hi, I'm Brandon, Cafe Creme Robson. You are watching our Vancouver.
All right, it's time for one of our favorite features. This is where we get to showcase a number of the photographs sent in by you, our audience. Let's start with this one by Ron Grieven. He captured this gorgeous photograph of spring bloom in full effect in Point Grey. Ron, thank you very much. And Lisa Broughton shows us what proper composition can do for a photograph. This is colorful Snug Cove on Bowen Island. Wow, just wow, Lisa, thank you. And finally, Colin McTaggart brings us this amazing owl captured just outside of Saanich. Just some lovely shots there. And do send us more. It's easy when you're out with your camera. Email your favorite shots to us, bcphotos@cbc.ca. That's bcphotos@cbc.ca. Well, CBC certainly does get a lot of photographs of our bird friends, but not a lot featuring geese. Perhaps their aggressive nature is to blame. Right now, Vancouver is challenging attempts by Canada Geese to rule the city's green spaces. The protected birds, they not only eat the freshly planted grass, they poop it out minutes later. Well, Susanna Da Silva has this look at what is being done about the fowl problem.
The life of a goose consists of doing some things very slowly, some things very quickly, and some things really regularly. Geese poop every 12 minutes, about 1 kilogram a day.
I try to keep my dogs from eating it, but they are very oddly attracted to it.
Constantly telling my boys to avoid it.
So you can't enjoy the grass here for the most part.
Arguably Canada's most famous bird, a lot of them in one area can lead to costly repairs. It happens in cities across the country. The last count in 2016 estimated 3,000 non-migrating geese here year-round in Vancouver's beaches and parks, a number that could double by 2025.
So these are 2 eggs that have been removed from an active nest, and then
now Vancouver is asking citizens to alert them of nests so staff can addle or destroy the eggs by briefly moving geese off the nest and replacing the up to 8 eggs with ones frozen from last year that won't hatch.
Often geese are nesting on private property, on the roofs of buildings, in planters, on balconies, and to identify where those nests are and to gain access to them, we need to have those reports from the public.
In Vernon, BC, City Council is hoping to hold a controversial cull.
Slow.
Go! While cities, airports, and businesses in Ontario can hire an expert like Dan Frankian to scare them away.
So you use the dogs on the ground and in the water, and you use the birds of prey in the air, like our eagles or hawks. Good girl!
But not everyone thinks these are humane or effective, suggesting things like planting tall grasses or bushes along shorelines instead, which dissuades the bird from nesting.
It's really blocking the vision from the water to the grass so that the birds cannot see far enough to know that there are not predators.
It is one of many options Vancouver may consider as it develops a new goose strategy. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
Susanna, thank you so much for that story. Now, have you been out on a patio lately? You know, the city of Richmond is extending its temporary patio program that was introduced to help struggling restaurants during the pandemic. But as Steve Zhang tells us, businesses serving all different types of Asian food are divided on whether it's a move that's actually useful to them.
From sushi to Indian curry to dim sum, Richmond residents are spoiled for choice when it comes to Asian cuisine. Since the pandemic, dining outside has been an added bonus, but some restaurants say, for the type of food they serve, there's no benefit to expanding the patio program.
I think there may be still a few of them have the right kind of serving. They can do it. But by far the majority of them, restaurants like this type, would not.
David Chung owns Jade Seafood Restaurant and serves as president of the BC Asian Restaurant Cafe Owners Association. He doesn't see patios as being too popular in Richmond, in part because of how the great outdoors affects the dining experience.
And then when you're out there, you have insects, you have dust, you have people walking by you and look at you, and you have car driving by, and just hygiene-wise is not even that appealing to a lot of Chinese people, right?
He says restaurants like his want to seat their customers indoors with a preference for hot food. And so long as the pandemic keeps improving, he says there's really no need for an alternative program. Right now, 67 businesses in Richmond have a temporary outdoor patio permit. Roughly half are Asian restaurants.
I come from Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, there's so many places. They offer food outside. There are night markets, actually.
City Councillor Chak Au says the program is a great opportunity to expand the available options to people, particularly younger diners who are more open to eating outside.
If we don't have it in Richmond, probably we will be outperformed by other cities that offer this kind of opportunities. So I really hope that this will open up more business for the local people and make people happier.
Jung Wen Hao, owner of Hao's Lamb Restaurant, supports the move because he wants to build. Specializing in lamb dishes, he hopes he'll be able to have an outside grill. They should work according to the requirements of each restaurant. As long as it doesn't interfere with the original framework, I think the government should give some more support. Restaurants with temporary permits have had their expiry dates pushed back to June 1st, 2023. to give them more time to transition to the city's upcoming permanent patio program. Steve Zhang, CBC News, Richmond.
Coming up, La Nina has been holding on with cold and snowy conditions right across the country. Johanna Wagstaffe is going to give us the latest long-range forecast.
Well, if it feels like it's been a late start to the spring season across the country, on the one hand, this is Canada. On the other hand, La Nina. That's the large-scale weather phenomenon situated in the equatorial Pacific waters that can change weather patterns all around the world. We first began to see La Nina signatures last year, coming out of a La Nina in winter 2020 to 2021 to go into an El Nino last summer and then right back into a La Nina. Meteorologists calling that the double dip. What does that mean for Canadian weather? Well, those cooler than normal waters in the equatorial Pacific changes the jet stream around the world, but on average, it means cooler than normal global temperatures, in contrast to its hotter cousin El Nino, which typically means warmer than normal conditions. Especially for Western Canada, we've really seen that trend take hold in our snowpacks and our extended below seasonal temperatures. Now, earlier in the season, it looked like La Nina was waning, possibly heading into a second double dip this summer, but latest observations from the Pacific waters show La Nina stronger than ever. In fact, there's a 60% chance La Nina could continue through the spring and summer months and into fall. So what does that ultimately mean for your spring and summer forecast? Well, for the West, it definitely means a higher than average chance of seeing cooler than normal temperatures. For central and eastern Canada, there is some signs that we might see warmer than normal temperatures, and Newfoundland, you might be coming in on the cool side. All that to be said, La Nina also impacts things like hurricane season. This could amplify the number of hurricanes in the Atlantic basin, but suppress them on the west coast. So stay tuned for cooler than normal for some of us, and I'll let you know when it finally begins to wane. And now, you're Science Smart. If you have a science question on your mind, send me a tweet and I'll try to get it answered.
Johanna, thank you so much. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, Vancouver's BMO Marathon is back with its full in-person run. This is the 50th anniversary of the event that's going to take over downtown May 1st. So there's an 8K, there's a half marathon, and there is a full race held that day as well. Well, Cory Jennermann is going to be there, but he's not going to be running out for his personal best. Cory is a pacer, so he helps others stay on track for the full marathon. Cory, hello, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. And you brought your pacing sign. What exactly does 3:30 mean?
Yes, so this is the time that I'm going to finish the marathon in. So I'll be finishing it in basically exactly 3 hours and 30 minutes, maybe 20 seconds before.
Okay, just take us through the role of a pacer then in a race and the importance.
Yeah, absolutely. So our role as pacers is to help the other runners achieve certain goal times. And basically there's a couple ways that we do that. The first thing that we do is we're kind of like human metronomes out there. We have a predetermined finishing time, and we're also going to run very evenly throughout the race. So for 3:30, myself and the other 3:30 pacer, we'll be going about 4 minutes and 56 seconds per kilometer on average for the entire race.
Wow, so are you next to that other pacer just to make sure you're keeping each other on pace?
More or less, we are, and we'll talk to each other too, because we're constantly looking at our watches, trying to figure out, oh, do we need to slow down a little bit? Do we need to speed up a little bit?
I see. So, yeah. Okay, so you're on track. And what is your interaction with the other runners, if any?
For sure, there's tons of interaction. I mean, often the other runners will talk to us before the race, and we'll, get them excited for their goal. We'll really tell them what's coming up on the course, remind them to take in some water, remind them where the aid stations are. And then when things are getting a little bit tough later on in the race, we'll give them any encouragement that we have to, get ahead of us and get to that goal time.
I see. Well, what about taking care of your own water needs and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely something we have to do, especially in a race like a marathon where it's really important to take in that nutrition. So yeah, I have to hit the aid stations myself or carry some gels or carry a little bit of water. And you kind of do it all with carrying the sign as well. So it's
No, I see. Okay, so can you just take us through, so 3 hours and 30 minutes for what length of a marathon?
So this will be 42.2 kilometers.
40, that's crazy. That's just, I mean, I cannot even fathom that. But take us through the curve of when you would have sort of your big burst of energy. When does it wane? When does it pick up again? Average for you.
Yeah, right. I mean, for myself, really in a marathon, it's such a long race that you want to just remain consistent. Ideally, you don't want to go out too fast at the beginning, and you kind of just get to that 32-kilometer mark and do whatever you can to finish the race. So I think it kind of progressively decreases as it goes on.
Right. Well, what have you seen in terms of Vancouver being a running city?
It's an amazing running city. I mean, Vancouver has absolutely amazing road routes, you know, the seawall. We have world-class trails on the North Shore. And the community here is fantastic. There are a ton of great events happening throughout the year.
Okay, so you have run marathons yourself, is that it? I mean, you have competitively, have you run some marathons?
Well, competitive against myself.
Okay.
So I've run a number of marathons in Vancouver. I've run the Boston Marathon in 2018 and a number of different distances as well, road races and trail races.
So how does a runner become a racer?
Yeah, I mean,
A pacer.
Yeah, a pacer, yes.
Sorry, pacer.
The way that you become a pacer really is you just talk to the race. And for myself, I got into it because I remember I was running a race once that one of my friends was in, and they said, hey, I don't think you're going for your personal best. You want to run with me and see if I can kind of get my goal time. And it was such a rewarding experience that I started reaching out to the races and saying, hey, you know, can I be an official pacer?
Right. And can we talk about the importance of having colorful running shoes in a race?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's my personal opinion that the more colorful the shoes, the faster you go. I don't know
if you're looking down, it's like, come on, pick these up, pick these up. Do you find, what do you do when you recognize that running fatigue at the end of a race, when you're coming up to the end yourself and you're just seeing people that just, they don't have much gas left in the tank? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it is really heartbreaking, especially as a pacer, because we do have to maintain that consistent pace the entire time. And really, all you can do is just shoot out some words of encouragement to people. As pacers, we're runners. We've all been there ourselves, and we know what it's like late in the race, just looking for anything to glom onto to get you to the finish. And,
right.
yeah.
So it's nice you're there to cheer them on at the finish.
A simple "you've got this" can really make a big difference to a lot of people near the end of the race, especially.
Well, have a great time in the marathon. Stay on pace.
Yes, thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, Cory.
You too.
Hi, my name is Camila and this is our Vancouver.
Do you that you have the most beautiful face?
If you would like to get out and see some live music, alternative rockers, the Flaming Lips. They play the Commodore 2 nights, May 2nd and 3rd.
I wanna sing you like a song I ain't ever sung. I wanna love you like the first time I saw the sunrise. I wanna laugh with you like I don't know the punchline.
And Canadian folk singer Donovan Woods plays the Hollywood Theatre 2 nights, May 4th and May 5th.
Hey, Grant Lawrence from CBC Music here with a look and a listen at some of the huge new albums coming out this spring. The list is long and exciting, so let's start with something Canadian. And when it comes to bands from this land, it doesn't really get any bigger or brighter than Arcade Fire. Amazing as always, Arcade Fire. The song is The Lightning 1 and 2. The massive Montreal band's newest record is called We. It's out on May 6th, and you can catch Arcade Fire performing live on the Juno Awards right here on the CBC on May 15th. Now let's head south to gritty Akron, Ohio, hometown to the two-piece rock and roll band, the Black Keys. Their latest album drops on May 13th. It's called Drop Out Boogie. From that record, here's a bit of the riff-tastic Wild Child.
I'm just a stranger with a twisted smile and a wandering eye. Your heart is in danger. Come close now, let me tell you a lie. Wild child, you got me running through the turnstile.
Today we're going to be discussing venereal disease. Let me get the first slide.
Oh yeah, getting back to their high school roots, that is the Black Keys, the 5-time Grammy winners, will be back in May with their new album, Drop Out Boogie. That was the first single, Wild Child. And interestingly enough, trivia fans, both members of the Black Keys dropped out of Akron University. Next up, a really exciting brand new band from the Isle of Wight. They're called Wet Leg.
Is your mother worried? Would you like us to assign someone to worry your mother? Excuse me. Excuse me. What? Hey, you in the front row. Are you coming backstage after the show? Because I've got a chaise longue in my dressing room and a pack of warm beer that we can consume.
Yeah, that's Wet Leg, a phenomenal new group with their viral hit Chaise Longue. And their debut album came out earlier this month. It is a killer. Other artists who have or are about to release new albums this spring include Florence and the Machine, Front Person, Tanika Charles, Belle and Sebastian, Anvil, Jack White, and the beloved pop romance band Stars from Montreal. On May 27th, they released their 9th album. Here's the first single, which has already hit #1 on the CBC Music Top 20. The beautiful voices of Stars. That is their single Pretenders from their new album From Capleton Hill, out on May 27th. All of those songs that we just previewed are all climbing the CBC Music Top 20 as we speak. I'm Grant Lawrence. Enjoy all the new music this spring. I'll check in with you again soon.
Coming up, local artists turn to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology to protect their work. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, if the words NFT or blockchain make your head spin, we have a story for you. The world of crypto, it's often thought of as a playground for the super rich. But as the CBC's Michelle Gussoub reports, here in BC, artists and researchers are looking at how to leverage the groundbreaking tech for good.
From Bitcoin to NFTs, it sometimes feels like blockchain technology has taken over.
Everyone gets an NFT.
The space is filled with people hoping to get rich by buying wildly expensive assets. But now, traditional artists are also getting in on the technology.
The NFT, even though it's a digital asset that you're holding, will take on a monetary value and grow in value, as does all of our Indigenous art.
And researchers are looking at how to leverage it in fields like healthcare.
It really is about creating a platform that empowers people to take control of their health, to take control of their health information.
Beyond making the already rich even richer, can blockchain technology actually make the world more fair?
Come on in. So I use a variety of different hides. My preferred one is elk. All the stringing on the back of the drum is elk hide, hand cut.
We're in Burnaby, BC, where Indigenous artist David Fierro creates drums. But these drums won't be sold in their physical form. They'll be made into minted NFTs.
We decided that instead of having the drum just under regular light, we would use black light as well and start using colors that were phosphorescent or glow in the dark or things like that. So if you put a black light on it, you get a completely different piece of art.
400 Drums is an Indigenous-led project selling NFTs or non-fungible tokens. An NFT is a unique digital code that can't be modified or owned by anyone else. Something that can't be copied is especially appealing to Indigenous artists because their art is often replicated and sold without their permission.
And so what does it mean for someone to be able to own this? Like, what significance does that have?
So these are investments that people make in the crypto market. What's important about that is that we recognize it for our future, that our art is our value, our art is our legal culture. So we feel that as Indigenous peoples, we need to enter this space to preserve the authentic nature of art as a value, art as money. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're moving the physical asset into the digital market.
The most popular NFTs sell for thousands, even millions of dollars. These ones will be sold for around 0.1 Ethereum, a cryptocurrency. That's worth several $100s depending on the crypto market, and that money will go to initiatives supporting Indigenous youth.
The funds that'll come off the NFTs are going into those programs to support, especially the youth. Like I love working with the youth and teaching them how to do these things. And when they're finished learning how to build these correctly, they've got that tool that they can do their prayers, they can learn their language, they can learn all the stories in their traditional language, and they've got a skill. Even in a digital world that's based in the physical reality, what's more important is the feel that you get out of it. I can't give every person a drum. This is the way that I can share it. I want to give as much of that experience to you as I can. It's like being in church, right? For people that are there, if they're singing prayers or hymns or things like that, they're putting themselves into that state. And we're trying to do that with an ancient technology, which is now finally Western technologies coming up and marrying with it and able to bring it forward, bring everybody forward.
But there's a major drawback to cryptocurrency. It has a significant environmental impact. Cryptocurrencies like Ethereum or Bitcoin use a lot of energy to produce new currency. The blockchains that power those two networks work like a record of transactions. Technically, anyone in the world can verify a crypto transaction and earn new currency by doing it. The problem is that collectively, all those computers use up so much electricity, it's actually similar to what a small country uses.
I know one of the concerns with crypto is the environmental impact of Ethereum. Was that something that you took into consideration?
We can't come to the table as Indigenous people to look at how to solve that problem unless we have something that is allowing us to come to the table. We'd like to be part of the solution, but first we need to tell people what is it and how are we going to enter this space together.
But can blockchain technology be used outside of crypto? 400 Drums isn't the only group looking at how blockchain can benefit society.
We're here at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, where we're about to check out a lab that is working on blockchain technology.
Dr. Victoria Lemieux runs the lab. She's looking at how blockchain technology can be used in healthcare.
So this whiteboard has not been erased since 2018. So what are we looking at?
So this is the genesis of the MyPDX, the Personal Health Wallet blockchain project.
The Personal Health Wallet would be a secure enclave on your phone that stores your health information without sharing it with anyone else or even having it traceable back to you.
We're basically just showing our credentials, just like we would show our driver's license. The way that we do that is we scan that barcode, or the QR code I should say. Now the health wallet that is running on this infrastructure remotely in you have a secure communication channel that's encrypted just between the two of you.
Victoria's app would allow you to access your health records instantly and protect your data from hackers. The wallet would be much more secure than current systems because of how difficult it is to change information stored on a blockchain.
The way I like to think of it, it's just another form of record keeping. Another word for blockchain is distributed ledger. The blockchain has something called a consensus mechanism which is used to make sure that all those copies of the ledger, they match. And if one copy of the ledger doesn't match, you know that somehow that's manipulated. And it's all part of this sort of trend to empower people to control their data, take power away from platforms that have tended to hoover up our data without asking.
There's still lots of questions about this technology, like, can cryptocurrency ever go green? And will there be enough buy-in from people to make the uses worth it? And with more people hopping on the blockchain bandwagon every day, people like Victoria and the 400 Drums team are just beginning to tap into the potential of the technology, and they're hoping to use it for good.
Coming up, the importance of cultural programming for a city's seniors. Hello there, and welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, a new day program in Abbotsford is challenging some South Asian seniors with fun activities in their language. And the aim is to keep them living longer at home. As Benit Brach reports, advocates say there is a greater need for cultural programs that serve a diverse, aging population in BC.
Amar Johal keenly looks out the window. The 87-year-old has dementia and lives with her family, but today she has an adventure planned away from home.
Love you too.
She's among 11 others part of this new program in Abbotsford. Seniors engage with Punjabi-speaking staff while enjoying therapeutic recreational activities.
It touches on their cognitive, their physical, their emotional, their social, and their spiritual.
The group has chai, prayer time, exercises, and gets help monitoring their health.
The benefit is they get to speak their language, and we try to integrate how they grew up, so we relate it to them.
And giggle away at ball badminton. Staff say many seniors have felt the weight of isolation through the pandemic, but these moments offer relief for their mental health.
Able to sometimes connect with their inner child.
We play like kids. It's a good time.
The province says there's about 125 day programs across BC, and they've increased funding. But advocates say there's still very few culturally specific programs. The CEO of this cultural day program behind me said demand is so high they had to double their spots, and they would take in 100 more seniors, but they just don't have the capacity. This cultural day program in Richmond says demand is high, but language barriers are preventing more seniors from engaging in day programs in the province. It's partly why the seniors advocate says more cultural focused programs are needed. She suggests
a language that they can understand, activities that maybe that they did as they were growing up, and maybe even incorporating some intercultural aspects so that the seniors learn about other cultures as well.
She says it's also a way to prevent caregiver burnout and give seniors more independence from their household. While Bal works and the kids are at school, her mother is often home alone.
I felt guilty. She was just sitting there in the living room, and I wanted to provide her interaction so that, her days would pass gracefully.
I enjoy it. My daughter is helping me have a good time.
She says there's relief in seeing her mother, who has dementia, come home with crafts and stories of her day.
It's almost like she's become my child again. She comes back a happier person.
A feeling she hopes more seniors can embrace. Benit Brach, CBC News, Abbotsford.
Benit, thank you so much for that story. Now, recently, Canada's inflation rate soared to its highest point in 31 years. So that means the cost of almost everything is on the way up. Well, we have been here before. In 1981, inflation had many in the middle class adjusting to life with less. And The National brought us that story.
You remember the 60s? That time when everything seemed possible. A house in the suburbs, a big new car every year. At least that's what the ads said. And if you couldn't buy it outright, credit was cheap. In the 70s, salaries and wages continued to grow. By 1980, they were 150% greater than they'd been 10 years before. But at the same time, we began to pay much more for what we eat, where we live, and how we get around. At the end of 1970, the price of ground beef averaged 67 cents a pound. It had gone to $1.61 by the end of last year, an increase of 140%. Milk went from 29 cents to 70 cents a liter, up 141%. On average, an apartment that cost $200 to rent in 1970 now rents for $294, up 47%. And of course, gasoline. On average, up 148% across the country. Instead of having much more cash to spend each year, Canadian families found their income was barely keeping ahead of inflation in the 70s, and then, to their shock, it fell behind. Somewhere in 1978 or 1979, people like Bill and Margaret Johnson and their children began to feel the pinch. Their food bill went up by $60 a month last year, and they began cutting back in other areas.
We don't go out for dinner as often as we used to.
With income lagging behind prices, a lot of Canadians are putting off that new car and those new appliances. And that's not all.
They're repairing the durables that they have increasingly. They're buying smaller cars. They're buying cars that represent good value for them. They're buying at wholesale, factory outlets, co-ops, street vendors, discount warehouses.
High inflation and high interest rates is causing some Canadian families to make more drastic changes. The Harts show what can be done. Anita and Hendrik Hart both work, and their income is slightly better than average. But 2 years ago, they cut back in order to contribute a quarter of their income to overseas development projects. So, in effect, they now live on less than $20,000 a year. As a result, the Harts budget about $500 a year for clothing. Anita does a lot of mending, sewing, and knitting, and they recycle clothing.
We will buy it often second-hand. We also will take pass-me-ons, the second time around clothing.
Anita is part of a cooperative that buys staples like flour and oatmeal in bulk. She makes food from scratch and avoids packaged goods at the supermarket. Scaling down means emphasizing what it is that you really need, a whole change in attitude.
I believe that I can carry my belongings to work in a shopping bag as well as in an expensive attaché case.
The Harts say that they still live very comfortably indeed. They've simply lowered their expectations. If incomes continue to fall behind inflation and the cost of financing major purchases stays high, then a lot of Canadians are going to have to scale down their lifestyles. And the dream that seemed so close at hand in the 60s will have receded beyond the grasp of many Canadian families for good. Margaret MacDonald, CBC News, Toronto.
I'm Wilson at Grand Maple Gaps. You're watching our Vancouver.
When we bring you these stories here at CBC Vancouver, we have award-winning photographers out capturing the images that say so much. Still images can add context and bring a lot more to the understanding of an event or an issue. So here are some of the latest images from what happened this past week. And that's all for our Vancouver for this week. I hope you can join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. Bye-bye for now.